So, welcome everyone. I got my boy Daavi here. So, Daavi was one of the first clients that I've worked with. We're going to dive through a lot. Found me on Twitter. I'm gonna let him explain. Found me on
Yeah,
Twitter. We worked together. I guess a good place to start, man, is tell the people about yourself, your business, what you do.
yeah, yeah. My name's Daavi Gazelle. I'm a huge fucking Nick and Juna fan, so very excited to be here. I am the vice president slash growth operator of MD Can Help, which is a family business. So my mom started this company, and we do high ticket coaching specifically for doctors that are burned out. We've coached hundreds and hundreds of doctors. And my mom basically ran this business forever and did God's work, but there wasn't a high ticket program, there was a sales process, et cetera. And so I came in and built that. Um, but a ton of deals were slipping through my fingers, like countless. It felt like every single call I was on was like right there, but either the objection handling wasn't there. They said they wanted to think about it. I didn't know what I was doing wrong. I'd paid for a ton of sales training in the past, and I had seen Nick's objection handling videos on Twitter and just seeing how fucking calm and poised and in his bag he was with all these objections, and how it wasn't like an on the phone discount or a salesy, twisting, but really just a very genuine getting the person to see what the best decision for them was and then holding them accountable to it. And I was like, bro, I just need some of this sauce. So DM'd him, um, got closed, piffed instantly, and it was one of the best investments we've ever made in our business. And I'm excited to talk more about that today, bro.
And like, what would you say were some of the biggest challenges that you were seeing in your sales process before we started working together?
Yeah, I want to think about it on at least half my calls. I really had trouble getting them to make the decision on the phone. And of course, I want to think about it never resulted in them magically thinking their way into a piff 2 days later. That very rarely happened. So
Yeah.
um, that was frustrating for me. I didn't really have any semblance of knowledge about how to objection handle. So I would either close them, or it would be like, well, and then I wouldn't get the money. And then I think those were probably the two biggest holes. And then a lot of other basics when it came to energy management, when it came to conviction, when it came to the pitch. Like we worked, I feel like a completely different salesperson today than I was 3, 4 months ago. But the biggest pain points I had was just I would be super stressed on these calls. I'd invest an hour, hour and a half of my time, and I'd leave more often than not with no cash and no decision and no commitment on their part.
I totally agree, bro. Your energy's totally shifted since we started working together.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's reflecting in the numbers, but I think it's just reflecting in you just as a person in general. So that's really good to hear. And you kind of touched that a little bit. I know you said some of it was like, me being poised. What did you see? What actually made you reach out, choose me to coach you? Where did that come from?
Well, I think it was a combination of the weakest part of my game being objection handling and you being a fucking assassin and objections in particular in your clips. And then I think it was just seeing that you could really close someone and have them be grateful for it afterwards, right?
Yeah.
Like there are guys that are bullies on sales calls. There are guys that are super aggro. And like, I'm not saying there's not a time and place for it, but what I noticed with your clips is that, and since we've started coaching and I've seen more and more of how you sell, is that you do really care about the prospect. And that's obviously our business called MD Can't Help. Like the whole point is that we're trying to really advocate for doctors and help them make a really positive change in their life. So I think it was the combination of the skill set that I was missing and the ethics and energy that it was coming from that made me feel like you would be the right fit.
Hell yeah, I appreciate that too, bro. It's
Yeah.
it's funny, right? It's like I think a lot of times we see sales as something that we're doing to the person as opposed to something that we're doing for the person, right?
Yeah.
And so it
Or with
sounds
them.
like, right,
Yeah.
or with them, right? It sounds like you had that paradigm shift and I'm glad to have helped you with that. Talk to me just about the experience, like working with me. How's that been? What do you feel like you've gotten just from the experience of us working together?
Yeah, you go above and beyond with everything. If I need calls reviewed, you review them. If I need a pep talk, you give it to me. If I came to the call think our call thinking I needed one thing, but I actually needed something else, 9 times out of 10, I get both. So um it also with some service providers, like the first month will be sick and then like they'll get other clients, they'll get busy, but no matter how busy you got, like you were in my corner every step of the way. And I think it's hard as a business owner where you have a million priorities and sales is the one that is bringing in the fucking bacon. And then when a deal slips through your fingers, you kind of need that real time feedback. Like there's a huge difference in my growth when I get a call review that day, the next day, versus 4 or 5 days down the road. And you were like, no matter what, no matter how busy you were on your offer, no matter how busy you were with other clients, like you really made it happen for me. So my experience was great. I think you
Right.
asked another question too, but that was what came to my head.
Yeah, that was the main thing. That was the main thing. Like the feedback loop is huge, right? Like you're gonna get a lot more from it if you get it a day after, 2 days after versus a week after. Um,
Yeah,
so I'm glad we've been able to do that. Let's talk numbers, bro. Let's talk numbers.
yeah.
Like
Let's talk numbers.
what was the business making before? What are we making now? What was your close rate? Like what's the data look like?
Okay. So my close rate in August when we started was 25%. And then it bounced between the high 20s and the low 30s. And then last month, a lot of the things that we've worked on clicked. And I closed at 54% last month. So we were collecting 40, 50, 60 grand a month. We collected 152 last month. Um, and the business as a whole is in, I mean, we were in that feast or famine. Like we didn't know where a deal was coming from. We didn't know what Daavi was going to show up on the calls. Like it was embarrassing for me to I felt like I was letting down my mom and letting down, the other our setters, our coaches, etc. And now I'm in kind of the opposite position where like everyone in the business is like looking at me like the rainmaker, rightfully so, which is a really good feeling to like know that I'm actually the right person for the job every step of the way.
You're him.
Um, and so like it's you know, I'm happy that I sought out the coaching. I'm happy that you gave me everything I needed and like Um, it's just really gratifying. Like it's just like any skill in the world. Like basketball is not fun when you fucking suck. But if you
Mhm.
drain a bunch of threes, you're gonna want your ass out on the court. Like now I actually look forward to sales calls. Um, Not every time, sometimes it's a pain in the ass, but like
I dare them to show up,
it's
right?
yeah,
You
when
dare
I'm in
them to
my bag, like I'm leaving the call with money and they're leaving with their life changed every time.
Oh yeah. So wait, I don't want to skip past that. You said you were doing 25% before, which went to how much did you say is your close rate now?
54% in December.
50. So almost more than one out of every two people who come on a call, you're taking some type of money from them
That's
and
right.
changing their lives.
Yeah. Yeah.
Crazy, crazy. And
Yeah.
then you said you were doing what, 40 to 60K a month prior? And this past month, how much did you say you did?
A buck 52,
152.
152K. Yeah.
Jeez. So 3x, 3x.
Yeah.
And obviously there's a lot of tactical stuff, right, that we've done. Like, what do you feel like was the main like tactical shift? Both two questions. What do you think was the mindset shift and the tactical shift that allowed you to have such crazy results in such a short time?
So there were at least two, maybe three significant changes you made to how I sell that had each had a very, very strong incremental impact on that close rate. So streamlining the pitch and changing the way I transitioned to the pitch and then the way I pitched,
Hmm.
based on what you taught me, was definitely a massive lift because I was getting uncertainty objections and now I don't. Um, Really hitting them hard with cost of inaction. I thought I knew how to do that, but I didn't really. I would ask questions like, why now? But like, that's very different from getting them to see the ramifications of not acting,
Right.
which we've developed a pretty systematic place in the sales process where it makes a lot of sense to take them on that roller coaster. And then the last thing is just now I have a framework around objections. So when people do slip through the cracks, I'm really good at building momentum. I'm better at building momentum to get them back in the fold. Um,
Hmm.
and I'm calm when it comes to objections. Like I can anticipate them and I don't like get reactive when they come. In terms of mindset, I think having like a real abundance mindset in life as well as on sales calls, like you talk about a lot, like when you're in a rut, releasing your rip on money and like either sending money to a friend or like tipping your DoorDash driver a lot or whatever. And so like I'm probably spending a band or two extra a month than I used to, but I'm making like 10, 20K more. So
Nice.
it's like my whole life just feels more abundant.
Mm. So like it's deeper than sales basically, right? Like it's deeper than
Definitely.
Here, okay, they said this, they want to think about it. Okay, this is what you're gonna say, and this is what you're gonna say, right? It's like going beyond that, the kind of looking within. And as far as the tactical stuff, I know we touched on a lot of pieces, and I agree. Cost of inaction in the pitch was huge for you. Um, cool. Well, I appreciate you, bro. Any final thoughts? If someone is here, they're on the fence, like what final thoughts do you have for them?
I mean, if you're a business owner, like it's such a fucking no-brainer because you want to just delegate sales and that's great, but the reality is you're gonna get caught in this no man's land where you're making enough money in sales that like you could maybe hire a closer, but not enough to get someone good.
Mhm.
And you're going to be the best person to do it. But the more you close, the more you have to deal with fulfillment and the other things in the business. And so, like, the only way out of that spot is either you give up, you don't master the skill yourself, you hire a closer that's not that good and isn't ready for it, and you can't really train them because you didn't master your own sales process. And then you're leaving a ton of money on the table, and you may never actually graduate to that point where a talented closer could make 15 to 20K a month. Or you dog it the fuck out, you hire someone like Nick, you hire Nick, you get really, really good, you dominate the skill, and you just carry your offer to the place where you could eventually attract a fucking fire closer. You have the abilities to teach them. You have to do less teaching because they've actually you brought in someone who's competent. So like it's almost like pushing a train where like it's a really hard position to be in founder led sales. But the ROI of hiring someone like Nick, like bro, if I went from 25% to 28%, this thing would have ROI'd. But from to collect 150K in a month, paying him what I paid him for sales training, like it's such a fucking no-brainer. If you're a business owner, you need to get Nick in your business. Like, and he identified other things. He fixed our setter scripts. He did, helped with marketing. Like, it's really everything. And just having someone in your corner, you need someone to be able to review your calls who's really talented. Nick's call reviews and the looms and notes he made for me, the Notion folder are so fucking valuable. And like, you're really on an island as a business owner, and so having someone in your corner that you can really strategize with and like run a good sales process and who you can count on to give you good feedback is so invaluable. Nick is all those things. He's a true like student of the game and always is trying to get better at sales himself. And as a business owner, disgusting ROI. As a sales rep, I'm sure disgust. I don't know if Nick would take you on as a client, but um, it's a no-brainer and it's such a valuable skill and has made my life better outside of business too. So I can't push you hard enough.
Appreciate you.